Hello and welcome to High and Tight on GameTimeCT. I'm Scott Ericson. We are joined, as always, by Pete Paguaga. Pete, what's up, buddy?
Nothing, man. We are unofficially at the midway point of the season.
Yeah, mid-season report coming this week. It's crazy. I mean, we always say it, but baseball just flies. Spring season flies.
I wish it was so much longer. I really do. I wish the season was so much longer. Granted, with having to prepare for high school football season in August, I do like that little month and a half gap. But like, man, if baseball was longer, that would just be it would be the best.
It felt a little more like winter, where winter just feels like it's never ending.
Yeah, winter never ends.
But yeah, spring is fast, man, and we're halfway through it, and we don't know anything more than we knew in the beginning of the season, it seems.
No, we definitely don't. You and I were talking yesterday at the West Hill Staples game, and it was just like, yeah, sure, this team will be number one this week. Sure, this team's getting votes. Sure, because like it just seems like there's a lot of parity in a lot of these leagues, and it's been making for a really interesting poll every week. And I feel like last year, like going into the year, we were like, all right, Ward and West Hill are probably the two best teams heading in. A lot of returners. West Hill had a lot of injuries. They kind of fell off, but Ward was just like, you knew they were the best team, right? Yeah. You go back to 2021, you kind of knew East Catholic was the best team as we were at this point. East Catholic was 10-0. You're like, yeah, they're probably the best team. Go back to 2019. It's like, yeah, Staples is the best team. Now we're sitting here looking and we're like, I have no idea who the best team is.
No, I think that the top three teams that are in the poll right now, Staples, Trumbull, Ward, are all really good, all capable of winning the FCIAC, all capable of winning Double L. They're also all capable of losing in the first round. Not that they would necessarily, because I think they have they all have deep pitching staffs and really good lineups. But like we've said a million times, you could run into a stud in the first round of a tournament and lose. So no one is dominant. I think that the voters are generally getting the best teams into the top 10. There's not like, I don't look outside the top 10 and see teams where I'm like, this is egregious.
Well, it's about time, because it was egregious the last couple of weeks.
Well,
I'll tell you why. Notre Dame West Haven getting no love except for me.
Well, wait a minute. In this week's poll, they have one number one vote.
Yeah, this is the fourth or fifth poll of the season?
Yes, but they got a number one vote, and it's from me. So I just want to say that 8-1 in the SEC and the teams they've beaten are legit.
Yeah,
that they're a really good team. They lost early in the season in a close game. So I have them number one. Are they better than Staples on any given day? Sure. Is Staples really good? Yes, because their pitching is just loaded. Like, their number three pitcher threw a perfect game. They have these two sophomores, Kai Nee and Oppenheimer, that come out of the bullpen that are excellent. Like, I don't think anyone's pitching staff is as deep, other than maybe Ward. Like, those two pitching staffs are just so deep. But yeah, I think Notre Dame West Haven, you and I have been voting them in the top 10, I think, all year.
I was the only one who had them in the preseason poll in the top 10.
You'll see even right. Okay, so you're the only one in the top 10, but even this week, they're not on a couple polls, so they're fifth or sixth. I forget exactly.
They're sixth,
sixth, and they got a number one vote. But like, take a hard look at Notre Dame West Haven, because they're good. Now they could lose after I say this. They have some good games coming up this week, but
they got Prep and Amity Thursday, Friday back to back.
Right. So yeah, I mean, they could, obviously you can lose those games. When you're the FCC, you can lose any game. But I think that that's a really, really strong team. I thought they were a strong team coming into the year. So
I have a question for you regarding the poll, not about the poll itself.
Yeah.
Do you believe that the poll is cursed?
I do not. Sean Boley believes the poll is cursed. I think that this is, as I said to Sean, that's baseball, man. Like, in the baseball season, these teams are going to beat each other. Like the SEC, the FCIAC, you don't run through those leagues and go unbeaten.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It happens once in a while where the team is just so good. No, I think you're going to lose. And like, Yeah,
I
they're
know,
gonna
but
knock each other off.
So Ward was number one to start the year, lost 2 games in 1 week.
Yeah.
Xavier's the number one team. They lose 2 games in 1 week, 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
Staples is the number one team in this week's poll. Now the poll wasn't out yet, but
And
they lost on
Yeah,
Monday.
they lost on Monday, and yeah, we get the votes count through Saturday, the game's Saturday, but we don't run the poll till Tuesday. So sometimes on Monday the team loses.
I'm just saying. I think
they lost a 1-run game when they made 5 errors. I mean, Kyle Kipp.
I think it might be cursed.
Maybe.
There it is.
But look, if you voted Staples number one, I think
I did.
Right, and I think that's a great decision.
Yeah,
because I think they're honestly, they could be the best team in the state. I've seen them twice now, like really good.
You should if anyone wants an inside look of where my head is at. Last week on the podcast, I was talking about how I voted Ward number one. Yeah. That was wrong. I had voted Staples number one last week. So when I went to go do my poll this week and I looked, I was like, oh, well, I went on record saying that I still had Ward number one, but I was ahead of the curve. I had Staples at number one. Look how smart I am.
Luckily, someone did vote Ward, so that people weren't like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." Nobody voted Ward number one.
Oh man!
Another team that's in the poll is Hamden. We're going to talk to Hamden coach Mike Dwyer on the show this week. They're rolling. They're scoring a lot of runs. They're holding teams down. They're one of those teams that beat Xavier. Like I think people were sleeping on them in the preseason because they're very young. They have a couple seniors, but they're very young. But man, they are rolling over there.
Yeah, it's. Looking at their schedule, look, the SEC is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. But looking at their first half and looking at what they got coming up, they have prep on Wednesday, the day this airs. They have Xavier, the last game of the year. I think outside of those 2 games, I think they can win those other 8 games. I really do think they can.
And they can win those two. They can win those 2 games too.
And they could win those 2 games as well. Yeah. So I really, really like Hamden's chances for a high seed to get that home advantage, which we talk about with Coach Dwyer on the show because they play on turf. But it's interesting. It's just interesting looking at it as we kind of turn the page to the second half. We're going to see teams that maybe you're still figuring out their pitching. There are some programs in this state that don't really let their guys rip until May. Yeah. So we're going to see a big change in some of these teams in the top whose guys they're going to start going 6 innings, 7 innings, 5 innings, getting that pitch count up there, not getting too crazy because April's kind of a feeling out period. And
it's cold and
it's always cold. Yeah. But,
no, I mean, we saw Chris Zajac yesterday for Staples. He's only up to 45, 50 pitches. He's going to be rolling by the end of the season, but he was coming in off basketball, so he started a little slow. But there's a lot of kids like that, and rightly so. You sort of slowly work them up. But now that we're getting close to May and we're at the halfway point of the season, it's go time, baby. The next month of the season is so fun, and then you hit the playoffs, and it's all great from there.
Absolutely.
But let's get to our interview with Hamden coach Mike Dwyer. He was kind enough to join us on High and Tight this week. We are joined now on High and Tight by Hamden coach Mike Dwyer. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on the show. I love what you guys do. I listen to you every week. Thanks for the invite.
We were talking right before we came on how much I love your sweatshirt. There's video here, so tell us who gave you the sweatshirt.
Chris Borelli gave it to me. It's one of the old ones he had. We have a storage unit at the high school, and I don't keep much of the gear. We order a bunch of gear for the guys, and you can ask any of them. I never keep it. And Chris gave me this, and it looks like it's been dried about 2,004 times. So I had to wear something, Hamden, but it's all right. It's comfortable.
It looks good.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys are off to a great start, especially with the bats. I think you have 6 guys hitting over 300, a couple kids hitting over 400. What's that been like with the bat just popping like that all the way through the order?
I mean, it's a testament to kids buying into a process. We're trying to, put the ball in play. I feel like a lot of things that are going on at the high school level, especially, is people are being taught this launch angle thing. And I'm a big believer in putting the ball in play, getting a quick bat to the ball, through the baseball, not lifting at contact. And the kids have been buying in tremendously so far this year. I couldn't be happier. People are working, at bats. People are getting the counts, swinging at pitches that they want. And that's exactly what you want to see as a coach as you preach it. Obviously, you don't see it every single bat, every single game, but I'm seeing it more this year than I have in, recent years. And I couldn't be happier.
And part of that's that field you have there too. I mean, you have a lot of space to work with. Are you talking to the kids about that? There's more room to drop in hits there than trying to hit one over the fence?
No, absolutely. I think, yeah. So we only have one home run on the year. And I know you guys have been following Hamden baseball for a while. In previous years, they'd have like 10, 15 home runs by now. But we're making solid contact. Like even the guys who are batting averages aren't where they want it to be. I tell them, hey, make sure you're having a quality at bat. You're working the count. You're getting the pitcher's pitch count up, and you're swinging at pitches that you want to swing at. You own the box. You're in the box. You take care of business, and let everything fall into place. If you put the ball in play, anything could happen. And I'm not saying, I'm not downing people who teach launch angle and stuff like that, because there is players that could benefit from it. Like you say, if you have an Aaron Judge type player who can put the ball out when he's off balance, with one hand, that's okay. But when you have high school kids, putting the ball in play is a huge thing. Line drive baseball mentality is a huge thing. And it's just something that's been going really well for us so far. And, I hope it continues for the second half of the season.
Well, do you think so? You guys have a great website, by the way.
Luke DeVoe, got to give him a shout out.
Luke does the best job.
Yep.
I just pulled it up. In 2021, Hamden hit 20 home runs.
Yep.
Then last year 3, this year 1. But the difference between 2021 and the last 2 years, the trees were cut down in the outfield.
You think that might be it?
By the Merritt Parkway entrance.
Yep.
Now, that's wildly more dangerous for cars. Just saying.
Yes.
That's 1. 2, but
I had nothing to do with that.
Now? I'm just saying, is the wind, no trees? Is there more wind blowing into the field, causing, maybe balls to hang up there a little too much?
Well, you won't hear that from our pitchers who let up a home run. You know what I mean? They'll say, "Oh, the wind was blowing out that day." It was funny. I woke up it was midway through the season, and I woke up. We had a practice early in the morning. I think we had a 9 o'clock practice that morning. And I called Dyer and I said, "Hey, when were you going to tell me the trees were getting cut down?" And he goes, "The trees are down." And he drove straight from his house, took a picture, asked who did it. And I was like, obviously it was the state, but I just think it's the approach, man. I preach staying through a baseball. Obviously home runs will happen. Not as much as 2021 so far. We can see what happens in the second half of the season, but if we keep the same approach at the plate, kids who think that, oh, this pitcher isn't throwing as fast as he should be, I'm out front on him. Okay, so think the other way. If you time it up perfectly, you're going to go the other way. If you're early, you're going to shoot middle. That's something that I'm a big preacher, and I preach it at every practice. I bought a $3,500 pitching machine, and I run it all practice long. It goes in the cage. We'll do defense, and we just rotate all day long. We move around and have a fast-paced practice. But we tell kids, hey, stay balanced, stay short to the ball, stay through it. That's it.
The other thing you're doing is stealing a lot of bases.
Yeah.
Is that something you preach too? I mean, you got a lot of kids stealing bases, and I think Aiden Jovia's got 11 already.
Yeah, Jovia, he's our leadoff guy, and he has 11. We have a freshman, Will Benedetti, who is 7 for 7. That's something I was big in. I think that it's not taught a lot, at practice. Like, obviously people go through the fundamentals and they're like fly balls, hitting the cut, this and that. I take, partial practice time to work on, stolen bases, how to, when to get the jump, how to put the pitcher asleep, because you want to do it when he's not thinking about you. And there's also certain times where you want to be in the pitcher's head. You want to create chaos on the bases. And I think our base runners have done really well on that this year. And, I hope, like I said, hopefully it continues in the second half.
You mentioned the freshman. You have another freshman, AJ Aurora, who's batting 9th for you. I know that he's doing really well. He's only struck out twice. How key has that been, having a kid at the bottom of the order that's just putting the ball in play? Like you said, putting the ball in play, right?
Yeah. No, it's huge. He's actually in the ninth hole. He has the second most RBIs on the team.
Wow.
and they came in big spots. Fairfield Prep was game one. We were down by 4. He's up. He hits a 2 RBI double to tie it. And the other freshman had before him, who hit before him, Will Benedetti, had 2 RBIs to cut it within 2. And then there was a walk and a hit, I believe, and Cardona hit a 2 RBI to put us up by 2 that game. And then North Haven, who has a really gritty team, we were fighting with them all game. He had a 2 RBI double that game as well to put us ahead. So he's had him in clutch spots. He doesn't falter. He's playing a great outfield right now. His problem right now is he's thinking about his batting average. And I said, hey, listen, I'm not looking at your batting average right now. I'm looking at who's putting the ball in play, who's continuing to work, who's hustling. It's all about having that mentality, and it's been the good versus bad mentality, and the kids are buying into that as well. I know you guys were talking about bad baseball movies last week. You were saying something with Trouble with the Curve. I got another bad one for you. Mr. Baseball.
God.
Come on. Yeah, no, but Mr. Baseball's, one of the, I would say doesn't even crack the top 20 baseball movies, but it has one of my favorite lines in baseball movie history. And when he goes high tide, low tide, high tide again, that's something I preach as well, because every single baseball player, no matter whether you're in the majors, you're in college, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, community college, whatever it is, you're going to find a stretch where you're not doing as well as you think you should be doing. And it's the guys who have a positive mentality who are like, okay, what did I do wrong? What did he throw me? What route did I take to the ball? Who's going to work on it? Is going to get out of it quicker? Who's going to reach that high tide quicker? So, if you have a negative mentality, you're going to go back to the dugout. I stink. I'm not going to hit the ball. You carry it out into the field. You're going to create an error for yourself. It's about those guys who want to work harder, guys who want to focus on where their weaknesses are and who want to learn from the last pitch. So that's something I've been preaching heavy to.
Coach, you played for Hamden. You're 2010 graduate. You played in college and you started coaching at Hamden. I think this is your 5th year at Hamden, second as the head coach. How important is this program for you? Chris Borelli, the coach before you, he was a Hamden guy, played at Hamden, coached at Hamden. What pride do you take in leading this program, a program that, like I mentioned, you played for?
Yeah, I mean, great pride. I loved, every minute working under Chris Borelli. Great baseball mind, as you know, great guy overall. Couldn't say better stuff about him. When I think I said in the interview with you, when he told me he wanted me to take over his position, I couldn't be more thrilled, and I didn't want to do wrong by him. And also being a part of the town, huge for me. I just got a job in town. I'm back. I left for 8 years. I went to Boston. I thought I would never come back, and somehow I just been stuck back into Hamden somehow. But I couldn't be more proud of representing my high school. And what's been so successful for us this year is I have a group of 39 guys throughout all 3 programs that are all the same way, all have the same common goal. It's cliche because you hear it a lot where people are like, hey, play for the name on the front of your jersey. All the guys in my program are doing that right now.
And it must resonate with the kids that you're from there and played there and grew up in the same place as they did, right?
Absolutely.
You got some guys on this team. Scott mentioned a couple of them, a couple of the freshmen, but Cardona has been a name, that we have seen for this Hamden team for 3 years, and it just seems like he's getting better. The home run numbers aren't there, and I blame the trees. But he just seems like he's gotten better and better every year. I mean, how nice is it to have someone, when you took over last year, who was a junior but had that experience as a sophomore on a very good 2021 team.
Yeah.
To kind of, you're in your first year and you're like, I got Cardona.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at the Avengers thing behind you, and it's we got a Hulk, So, he's been phenomenal. I mean, him and Ryan Capella are both our senior captains, and they've done a phenomenal job with leading a very young team. You can ask for more. We ran weightlifting program for 6 months before the season started, and they were at every single one of them. And that's a testament to what those guys want to see the program become, not just this year, but after they leave. They want to set a new, standard. They want to set a new culture for this program, and I love it. Cardona, like you said, he's been around for 4 years. Obviously, he missed a year because of COVID, but and the home run number isn't there. But trust me, he's not one of those guys who we know he can hit home runs. He's absolutely a specimen on the baseball field. He can put a ball over the parkway, both sides. So he's hitting around 450 right now with over 500 OBP. He's not worried about hitting home runs. He's worried about winning baseball games for his team, hitting line drives, getting on base, and that's exactly what you want to see out of a senior leader.
It hasn't been all hitting either. You got some good pitching, especially from Matt Moria.
Yep, Moria. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, what's he been able to do to step up? He pitched great against Xavier the other day.
Absolutely did. He was a gutsy performance. I said it in a tweet, even though I misspelled it. I hear as soon as
we've all been there. We've all been there.
As soon as I put a tweet out and there's a misspelling, I hear it within 10 seconds. It's 24 guys blowing up my phone.
Oh, they love that. They love it.
Yeah. He's been phenomenal for us this year. Like our pitching staff, we lost our ace coming into this year, Nico DeJoya, to Tommy John, and he's been working back. He can swing the bat. He's been hitting the ball really well as of the last 4 games. So that's really great to see and have him come back. But Matt Morera, he didn't see an inning for us last year, and he's doing phenomenal. Aiden Jovia is doing great. We have a freshman, Ian Rydell, who's pitched 3 games. He has a 2.5 ERA right now. The whole pitching staff as a whole unit is throwing 1.7 ERA right now. And that's a testament to the work they put in at practice in the off season. All of them we have a great pitching coach in Nick Velarde. He's been doing a phenomenal job, and it goes 2 ways. He's calling the pitches, but the pitcher's got to execute them. And they've been working hand in hand for, I want to say the last 6 months. They've been talking. They haven't been working together because that's a CIC violation, but they've been talking to one another, and I couldn't be more happy to have a pitching staff like this right now.
When you have young kids that are going through the SEC for the first time as pitchers, do the older guys help with that, or do you guys try to help them with that? I mean, that's not an easy task. Some of these lineups you're facing.
Absolutely, and that goes back to the culture thing that we're trying to build is team. Next pitch mentality. Doesn't matter what happened the pitch before. If there's another pitch coming, be ready for it, adjust to it, learn from it, be ready for it. And I saw in the Xavier game yesterday, somebody would strike out who's a senior leader. And, in high school, kids' minds are like, I should have had that. And they focus on themselves. I saw, I'm not going to call him out. Even though it wouldn't be calling him out, it'd be giving him a compliment. He struck out. He struck out and he went into the dugout and he went up to a freshman and said, "Hey, this is what I got. Go get it." It's the same thing with the pitchers. The pitcher's like, "Hey, this kid doesn't like it here. He couldn't hit this inside pitch." They're all working with one another, and this team has been more of a team than any other program I've had. To be honest with you, it's really something to see the culture that this team is trying to build, and they're all buying in. Like you said, we do have young guys in the field, young guys at the plate, and young guys pitching, and all the older guys are stepping up, whether they're sophomores or juniors. They've seen something that these freshmen haven't seen before. And the reason why the freshmen have been so successful this year for us is because of them, relaying what they have learned from the past.
Yeah, you guys are 8-2 here at the midway mark. We're recording on Tuesday. This will be released Wednesday. You guys have prep on Wednesday afternoon. SEC baseball the rest of the way with McMahon, the second to last game from the FCIAC, and Xavier, the final game of the season. What does this group have to do the second half of the season to keep the good fortune going? This is a Hamden program that has been super successful in the regular season in recent years, has not been able to get over that hump in postseason play. So what's this group have to do to keep this going?
Just don't buy out of the process. Like, see what's been working and continue it. One thing that I'm a big believer in, and you'll hear people say it, is like, "Oh, that loss, flush it," or that at bat, flush it. I'm a big believer in don't flush anything. Like, if you are going to learn from something, you got to take it and use it. You can't just that I struck out 3 times in that game. Oh, flush it. You're going to get them next time. You need to take whatever it was and we'll use it and we'll work on it. I'm here to help you. We have a good coaching staff behind me. We have to learn from our mistakes, and that's it. You take the little things and you learn from them, because as you know, the little things turn into something big. So.
And then before we get to the draft, and we're going to get to that in a second, as a Hamden guy, and I know that you're biased towards Micro. You work there, and Micro is great. But if you had to pick another food establishment in Hamden that's the best, I have one in my head. But I would like your opinion. Outside of Micro, where's like your go-to spot in Hamden?
Go-to spot in Hamden. Wow. So I'm assuming I can't use Micro's sister restaurant, Burger Co., correct?
No, you cannot.
But good pick.
I got to go Eli's.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy. I mean, if I go out for dinner, that's something. I won't go out for dinner in Hamden. But if I'm going out after a game or a practice, I'm gonna go get, the wontons they have there.
Yeah.
Or the egg rolls they have there.
Oh, the
cheesesteak egg rolls.
Philly
You ever
steak
had
egg rolls.
Those are good.
Yeah.
I was always
Absolutely.
Glenwood. I loved Glenwood.
Yeah, Glenwood's good. It's just it's somewhere. Yeah, it's not. Doesn't have like the sports on. You know what I mean? I like that vibe too.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, when Quinnipiac won the championship a couple of weeks ago, I tweeted out, I was like, party at Side Street. And everyone's like, no, you go to Eli's. And I'm like, no. If you know it's Side Street.
Absolutely. No, you gotta go see Dave at Side Street, man.
That's right.
He's the best.
Dave is the best, the absolute best. Great guy. When I lived in Hamden, I lived in Hamden twice, maybe a total of 5 years. I loved my time in Hamden. Really, really nice town. But I was always at Glenwood. And yesterday I actually went to Whitney Donut. So that was nice and refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been to Whitney
Those
Donut.
places have all been there forever too. Like Sides, all those places just forever.
Yeah.
Side Street was around when I was in college.
Oh, Ixtapa?
Yeah.
Ixtapa's where it's at. Enchiladas after a nice round
Yeah.
of golf. It's got some spots, man. Hamden's slept on. Hamden is slept on.
It is. It very much is. Absolutely.
No, if you know and you travel around the state, then you know that Hamden's got food, like good food. It's like it's easy to get to from everywhere, and like it's in the middle of everything. Like I eat in Hamden all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the best. But all right, yeah. So we're gonna go into our draft this week in honor of you, Coach, who you are a police officer. We are doing the biggest crimes in baseball.
Okay.
We're just keeping it, kind of keeping the theme.
I like that. Thank you.
So biggest crimes in baseball. Coach, you get to go first. I'm going to go second. Scott will go third, fourth. Then me, Coach twice, me, and then Scott will round us out with the 9th pick. We're going to do 3 rounds. Coach, it's on you. Whenever you want to get going, what is the first overall pick?
So like I said, I'm a big outfield guy. I played outfield, my whole career. Fly balls being dropped. Can't happen, leads to, pitchers throwing more, leads to extra bases. It's just something that never sits well with anybody. Even if you're not a baseball person, you watch baseball and you see a fly ball get dropped, it just does not sit well.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like you said, it adds to pitch count. It adds, everything could kind of unravel at that point. And something, I'm going to kind of go with the second pick, kind of along the same lines. And this might be more of a softball thing. I've been playing softball for a while, but missing cutoff men.
Yeah, absolutely.
I cannot stand outfielders who overthrow their cutoffs because it's extra bases, right? That force from first. Now, guys on second in scoring position, you have no force out ground ball. You have to throw it across the diamond. Anything can happen. So missing cutoff men drives me insane. Scott?
Throw it low, if anything,
All right. My number one thing is road teams leaving a messy dugout. When you leave and there's trash behind, totally unacceptable, and could be a real crime. In fact, not even just a baseball crime.
Littering. It was Earth Day on Sunday.
Vandalism. No, it's something that I make sure. And I like even yesterday, I stayed at the field. I made sure the dugout was cleaner. It's a common phrase, but make sure the dugout was cleaner than when you got here. You know what I mean? I tell all the guys to say, hey, that's a water bottle. That's a base hit. The baseball gods are watching, so they believe in that now. So
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Tied into that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I got another one, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna go sacrifice bunting with one out.
Hmm.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Once no outs, okay. You want to move some runners along, but you already got an out. You're gonna go to
Yep.
2 outs. Come on,
Yep.
use the stolen base like Hamden does.
Exactly. Nice.
Wow. I'm a fan of sack bunts at all times, forcing plays, but that's just me. Well, apparently I wrote that story last year and I feel like every team knows I'm there and they bunt now to be like, you know what, Pete, you were wrong.
Yeah.
I love squeeze bunts. I told you that's one of my most exciting plays in baseball. So I do like the bunt.
When the show's over, I can ruin the ending, the major league for you if you want. Speaking of bunting and movies.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, you deserve to have it ruined.
Yeah, it's been
Absolutely.
24 years. I think spoilers are up on that one.
Yep.
All right, with my second pick, I'm going to go with throwing behind a runner.
Mm.
I hate everyone thinks they got a super arm and everything, but like, keep everything in front of you. One summer I was coaching baseball with a friend of mine and his brother, and I was kind of like the third coach. I'd fill in at first base coach or do the book, just help out wherever I could. And my friend couldn't come to the game, so I was the assistant coach that day, and his brother got thrown out in like the second inning, and it's the championship. And I know none of their signs. I know nothing. I don't even know who's got enough pitches. I had no idea what I was doing, but the kids are playing well. They're kind of keeping me in the loop on everything. I'm kind of letting them run the show. Get to the last inning. It's the bottom of the 7th. It's a tie game. Runner on third, 2 outs, and the pitcher's got 2 strikes on the batter. And it's a ball. The kid's off third. He tries to throw. He tries to get him at third. Air mails it into left field. Game over.
Yep.
Like, just keep everything in front of you. Control what you can control. Unless you're Joe Mauer behind the plate, don't be trying to throw behind guys. It's just too risky, and you can kind of blow a game. Like, now I'm 0-1 in my head coaching career. All right, Coach, you got back-to-backs.
Okay, so the next one, I gotta decide which one I want to do first. This is a tough one. I'm gonna stick with outfield. The last 2 I'm gonna do outfield for. First one is getting behind a fly ball when you're catching it, because it creates that momentum that you need to use. You need to use when you're making a throw to whoever, the cutoff guy, third base, second base, or home. If I see a guy as a coach, and I coach third base when we're on offense, when we're hitting. If I see an outfielder who's flat-footed or fading backwards on a shallow fly ball, I'm sending my guy home all day. It takes a lot more to get a throw off accurately and on time, and we've executed that about 3 or 4 times this year, where there's a shallow fly ball to left or center field, and I'll send my guy from third base because I see the outfielder planting his feet and he has no momentum coming forward. So that's something that I look for.
Good one.
Last one, taking the wrong route to a ball in the outfield. You've seen it where there's a line drive down the left field line, and your left fielder's got to go to his right hand side, and the ball's going down the line. He's coming at it, and then the ball goes by him, and then out of nowhere he takes an 90-degree angle towards the ball. That's extra bases, as opposed to just getting around the baseball coming through it. It's just something that we work on over and over again, and I hope I don't see the rest of the year. It equals extra bases, and we know how important those are. So taking the correct routes to the ball in the outfield.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I love the outfield stuff, because people always you see the infield errors and you're like, oh, that stinks. When you make one of these mistakes in the outfield, it's multiple bases, multiple runs. Like, it's a disaster if you can't play outfield correctly.
Yeah, the fence is the only thing that could save you, and it can't throw it. So
right.
Yeah.
All right, with my last pick, Coach, I'm just letting you know this is not a personal attack.
Oh, geez.
One of the biggest crimes in baseball are turf fields.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
with you.
I understand why they are needed, especially in Connecticut. When you look at the schedule in wet years, and Darien and Hamden have played 10 games and everyone's played 3. I get it. I understand it. I hate it. It. I want, every ground ball is the same. Like, I'll be honest with you. I've played on turf. and I look like a superstar. And let me tell you, that was not the case 10 years ago when I was in high school. Okay, I couldn't feel the ground ball for anything. It's hitting stones, it's hitting the lip, it's bouncing over. I'm on turf. I'm like Ozzie Smith. So out on turf fields, I don't like it.
I'm with you. I mean, especially when we're one of, I think, what is it, 3 schools in the state that has a turf field?
I think it's you guys, Darien, Norwalk.
Law has one now, don't
Law
they?
has one now. I think Norwalk and McMahon, but I couldn't.
Norwalk and McMahon both have turf. Yeah.
Okay.
So unless we're hosting every game in the state tournament, we're kind of at a disadvantage because we've been practicing. We're going to be taking practices to Legion Field, which is dirt. But like something last year I saw in the state tournament was, obviously our first baseman is used to a high bounce if there's a bad throw, and he was expecting it, and the ball just skimmed on the ground underneath. Like I said, extra bases leads to something bigger. We lost by 1 run that game. I'm not saying that's why we lost the game. I'm just saying we were prepared for something else because of the field that we have. So,
my kids have pretty much grown up on a turf field, and a lot of the kids they play with don't have the glove down on the infield now. They wait with it up, and then they get to dirt, and the ball doesn't come up, and the ball goes straight through the legs, and it's like it gives you some bad habits.
But at the same time, the ball does come to you a lot quicker. It does come to you a lot quicker.
Oh, a lot faster. Oh
yeah. That's why I don't play.
Game.
That's why I don't play third base in softball.
For multiple reasons.
Yes, that is one of them. I don't need to get hit in the face.
Nice.
My pick, Pete?
Yep. Round us out, Scott.
All right. Yeah. The last one is a crime. I see it all the time too. Guys that don't know how many outs there are. Like base runners and fielders, just unaware of the situation. Guys not running hard with 2 outs. Guys who strike a guy out and roll the ball out, and it's only the second out.
Javier Baez.
Javier Baez. Yeah, at the MLB level, but just know the situation, know the count, and know how many outs there are.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, mostly every varsity program has a scoreboard now.
Right.
Just take a look. Like even me coaching, I look at the board just to make sure once in a while.
Yeah, that's a lot of trust putting into the board.
Yeah, I get it.
My high school coach would grill us if we weren't even playing. If you were on the bench, what's the count? If you didn't know the count, it was a problem. Like you had to be into the game. Like it keeps you in the game to be focused on outs and the count and all that stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's important. Situational awareness is huge.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, Coach, we want to thank you for coming on. This was a lot of fun. And glad you got to do it, and good luck the rest of the season. You guys are playing really great so far.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
We are back on High and Tight. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. I've spoken to him a handful of times. Really passionate. I mean, he's a Hamden guy through and through. He's a graduate there. A lot of pride in that program. And, Hamden has always been right there.
Yeah.
Always been right there. Great players, great seasons. They lose a game and you're like, they've had some trouble in the state tournament, in the SEC tournament. Maybe this is the year. You talk to some coaches around the state. It's nice to have Division I guys.
Yeah.
But, it's those other guys that are going to win you games down the stretch. Those Division I arms can win you games too, but it's the guys that are going to come through in the clutch, team first kind of things. Yeah, the grinders. Yeah. So it looks like Hamden's got a lot of them. And
Hamden's got a lot of them. Yeah. And he's doing a nice job over there. So, again, the SEC is just landmines all over the place. So you never know what's going to happen there, but they're heading in the right direction and with a pretty young team. So we'll see what happens with Hamden. There's a lot of good games coming up this week. You can check out GameTimeCT, check out our games to watch, which goes along with our top performers from last week. I know that there is actually a really huge event happening this weekend, though, and it is Pete's wedding. For those that don't know, Pete is getting married this weekend. We're all very excited for him and very happy for him. So if you see him, wish him well. He's making the leap this weekend.
Thank you very much. Yes. So I will be off the grid until next week. I'll be back for next week's episode, though.
Okay, good. But no one bother Pete this weekend. He's got other stuff going on.
Yes, please don't bother me. I already have gotten myself in trouble I shouldn't have slid during softball and ripped open my knee a week before the wedding. No, I should not have done that. Totally did that. So,
I know that I'm going to forget and accidentally text you on Saturday and be like, can you believe what happened up in Glastonbury or whatever?
Yeah, I think my phone might be left at home that day.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Probably a good idea. Just take it away from him.
Yeah.
But seriously, man, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And welcome to the club.
Thank you very much.
So we will be back next week. Pete will be married when we come back on the show. And we'll have another guest, and we'll talk more high school baseball as we head into the second half of the season. So for Pete, I'm Scott. We'll see you next week on High and Tight.
Love you all.